Hey everyone. Don't mind all that this is happening in the background. Like, don't mind this. These are just like random dresses. I was thinking of wearing this. So, this has got nothing to do with the video. I was thinking of wearing this to my graduation. It's really, really pretty, but my graduation is in December and it's going to be so bloody hot that I don't know if like long sleeves is the vibe. Anyway, hey everyone. Yes, I'm wearing bright pink tracksuits. That's just the way that I am at the moment. Hi everyone. Welcome back. I'm Allie and today I'm going to start another reading vlog in which I pick books out of a TBR jar and then I read them for a week. It's very self-explanatory. This is like a newly instituted series on my channel because I did this last month and absolutely loved it. I'm sorry if you can see the light in my glasses, but I did this last month. I absolutely loved it and I'm now going to do it every month because it's just so much fun. So we're going to pick some out of a jar. Jem from Gem of Books wonderfully created the title of the series. TBR Take Down. That's what we're going with, which I love. I love it. So episode 2 in TBR Take Down. Let's do it. Okay. I aggressively shake this because I just want to make sure that it's shaken. Okay. Okay. Let's do this. I'm closing my eyes. I'm looking away. Oh, before I pick one, I should say, if I pick A Little Life, I'm not reading it because my mum's actually reading it. She randomly picked it off the shelf. Very fun for her. And if I pick a book that I am reading for a reading vlog in the next couple of weeks, I am not going to read it. That's all the disclaimers. Going with this one. Every time I do this, I'm so terrified. Okay. What's that say? The book. Well, I've actually already read this. I read this. Where is it? Oh my god, I don't know where I put it. It must be. Oh, it might be in my room. I finished reading it. Was it last week? I read this while I was in Cairns. Okay, I'm gonna leave this out because I've already read it. So one more. Okay. Oh god. That was like really nice of the TBR jar to like... Is that one? Oh. Whoops. I was trying to find if it was one. Is it the same one? I think there's 2 in here, so I'm going to get rid of that one. I think that was the same one that I picked because it was 2 together. This is a small one. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? It's A Little Life, which I'm not reading because my mum is reading it. So I'm going to put that back in the TBR jar. I'll put that back. Because eventually I will read it. This is okay. Come on, TBR gods. You know what's really hard? With these nails, I can't actually like feel it. What does that say? I didn't even read it. Okay. Well, this is just going to be a one book reading vlog because it's going to take me more than a week to bloody read it. Are you serious? If you don't know, this is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. Part of the Cosmere universe. Oh my god. Okay. I guess we're entering into the Cosmere. It's actually right here. Oh my god, it's tight. Why am... Why? Okay, I look like a demon, so I'm gonna take these off. I haven't yet figured out how to like work the ring light that I got for my birthday. This is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. This, I think, is a standalone. I believe it's a standalone, but like Elantris was meant to be a standalone, but that's now part of a series. I've always, in my head, the way that I was going to enter the Cosmere universe was I was going to read Elantris first, even though people like say it's his, not worst, but it was like the first published book of his. But I was going to read Elantris first, just for fun. Read Elantris, then read Mistborn Era 1, read Warbreaker, read Mistborn Era 2, and then go into the Stormlight Archives. That was how I was going to read it. I have a list and everything. I haven't necessarily partaken in my list yet, because I was like focusing on the Wheel of Time. Okay, so we're going to start with Warbreaker instead. You know what? It was meant to be. I'm reading this for a reason. The universe has set out for me to read this, and we're going to read it, because I have been wanting to read. How many times have I said read? I have been wanting to read this series. So, okay, Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. What is this book about? Warbreaker is the story of two sisters who happen to be princesses. The god king, one of them, has to marry a lesser god and an immortal trying to undo the mistakes he made hundreds of years ago. There's a world in which those who die in glory return as gods. A world transformed by biochromatic magic, a power based on an essence known as breath, which can only be collected one unit at a time from individual people. But it's worth it. By using breath and drawing upon the colour in everyday objects, all manner of miracles and mischief can be performed. Okay, I got this in 2020, so it's time. I can enter the Cosmere through this book, right? Like I'm not gonna miss out on anything if I read Warbreaker first. I can't even ask you, because you won't see this until I've actually read it. Anyway, we're gonna be reading Warbreaker, and then I'll let you know if I felt at all confused. Book 1 in this reading vlog. Okay, wish me luck. I'll keep you updated. Enjoy. Hey friends. So I was like meant to update you all so much earlier than now, but babes, I kind of got stuck into it. Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. I feel like this is only going to be a one book vlog, because I don't want to alert you, but like it's already been a week. Because of marking and like work and stuff, I haven't been able to like read during the week. I'm just so tired. So I did most of my reading yesterday on Sunday, because I finally had like a break from marking. So yeah, I apologize, but I'm gonna try and be, throughout like the rest of this vlog, very detailed in my like discussion of this book. So just like, what's that word? Kind of like an entree to this, because I'm about to go out with my mum. I'm like 300 pages already into this. It is so good. A slow start, but so good. What is this book about? Honestly, everything. So you have this world that is, there's like a magic system. I don't know what that was, but there's a magic system, and this magic system is based on color and breath. Now, not breathing, right? Like oxygen. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about something that's got to do with souls, okay? So every person is born with one breath, which I think possibly is their soul. But you can give away your breath for money. And if you give away your breath, you're a drab, because you have no breath. But does that mean that you have no soul? Not really, because you still are you, just with no breath. It's very complicated, and it's like, it's so interesting because all these sorts of like discussions about the magic system also heavily ties into the theology of the world. So you have these really interesting theological discussions that are occurring between characters, especially between gods, specifically one god. So you meet Ciri and Vivienne. They're sisters. Vivienne is older than Ciri. She is the oldest, I think, of the family. They're princesses of a kingdom called keep on want to say Idris, but I don't think it's Idris. It is Idris Elba. Okay, so they're princesses of a kingdom named Idris. Now this kingdom is labeled the rebel kingdom in comparison to like the big kingdom, which is Halandren. Now Halandren was the original kingdom of the royals who control Idris. Do you get that? But there was a war called the Many War. The royals were kicked out of Halandren, the gods were instituted, and that's the way it is. And ever since then, Halandren has this idea that Idris is out to like conquer Halandren, which like realistically, no, because of just like the amount, like Halandren is ginormous in comparison to Idris, but that's part of the whole conspiracy. Anyway, so there was a treaty back in the day, like 20 years ago, between Halandren and Idris. They were like, we won't kill you if, you know, you give us one of your daughters to marry the God King. Originally, it was supposed to be Vivienne, the eldest, but when the treaty had to be like completed and like adhered to, the King of Idris, the father of Ciri and Vivienne, was like, I love Vivienne too much to give her to the God King and most likely kill her, so Ciri has to go. So he essentially chooses one daughter over the other, and Ciri is sent to the God King. Now, mind you, Ciri is the youngest. She has not had any training whatsoever in order to like how to handle what the fuck is going on in Halandren, whereas Vivienne has had like all of her life she has been trained for this because that's what she was meant to do. But Ciri gets sent to Halandren instead. I love Ciri with all of my heart. She is such a wonderful character. She is young, I think she's around 17, 18, and she is just so confused, but she realizes that she has to be herself, and by doing that she actually begins to relate and become friends with the God King. Now the God King is a precious boy, okay? I love him so much. He is so precious. And there was this scene, if you've read it, you know, with the stories, oh my god, I literally had to hold the book to my chest. The God King's name is Susbron. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he is literally the most precious boy. So she's trying to deal with like intimidation tactics and weird secrecy and shit happening with the priests, because every god in Halandren, so it's very confusing and I don't quite get it yet. You have the God King, who is the king of gods and also just like the emperor, so to speak, of Halandren. But then underneath him you have gods. Now these gods are human who have been returned. Now in order to become returned, essentially like resurrected, you were chosen to be resurrected by a god. No one knows like who. It could be an entity, it could be, I don't think it's the God King, I think it's just this force who like chooses the returned, and majority of the time you die a brave death, I think. But it could also be like the amount of breath you have means that you will be returned if you die. Like, we haven't really got into that, but I think there's much more to that entire process than what is being said, because there's a lot of corruption happening behind the scenes. So you have these gods, and they all have their own priests and like palaces and like servants, because they're gods, and they don't really do much. So the entire purpose of being a returned is you come back because you have, when you were on the other side, you were given a purpose, and when you come back, you're meant to try and remember that purpose and like embark on ensuring that is achieved. But they don't remember it, so that it's like you could live like 100 years without well, I don't know about 100, but a very long time without remembering your purpose. And majority of the time it's about saving another person. Now these gods have their breath, and that breath can save someone else, but if they give their breath, they die, like fully dead. The way that these gods maintain their immortality and their power is because every week a person comes to them and gives them their breath, typically a child. The families are like, you know, handsomely compensated for it, but again, it ties into this overall or overarching theological discussion of like, what is breath, what is souls, what happens when you have nothing? Because you also have these beings called lifeless who were dead and were brought back to life through the power of breath, because when you have a lot of breaths, you can awaken inanimate objects. And like, the lifeless are an entire thing, and that's also a discussion. Like, do the lifeless have a soul? Are they sentient? Are they not? Is that like, are using lifeless morally correct? Like, it's a very interesting story, and I love the way Brandon Sanderson ties everything together so authentically and so wonderfully, because these conversations are happening in a way that feels very organic. Like, you have these characters who are all from different walks of life who are like, hang on, is this right? Like, they are questioning themselves. So we have, and Vivienne especially, who's like, you know, a very strict believer of the austere, who is kind of the Idrian god, different to Halandrian belief system. She kind of feels a bit lost, and at times she kind of looks down on the people of Halandrian and their belief system. And she's been confronted by various characters pertaining to her beliefs, because essentially, like, what makes you think that you have the correct truth, you know, of the matter? Like, what makes you believe your belief is the best one? And it's really fascinating. And again, it feels very organic to the story, but also to character development, because I think that discussion, that theme, is going to be something that Vivienne really like questions and battles with throughout this story, and you kind of see that a little bit. You also have a character named Vasha. Now Vasha is, I love him. I don't know who he is, but I feel like he's much more important to the story than the reader is meant to know in the beginning. I think he's been around for a while. He has his own motivations in doing certain things. I don't know whether he's with Idrians or against Idrians, or with Halandrians or against Halandrians. He is doing his utmost to just destroy things, but I think there's a reason to it, and there's like the chaos that he leaves, there's something to it. Now Vivienne, when she came to the city of Halandrian, she met with a couple of mercenaries, Denth and Tok. Again, I think there's more story to Denth, especially because his hatred for Vasha is much more than just like, he annoys me. It's like, it's personal. I feel like they know each other, and I don't know, like, I have a bad feeling that maybe one of them, like, especially because Denth has, you know, very quickly become important to Vivienne in terms of just like not a friend, but kind of, I'm worried because Vasha like doesn't like Denth. I don't know. It was just a very quick, brief thing, and I'm a bit scared, not gonna lie. We also have this god named Lightsong, who we're in the perspective of. I really like him, and he's also the one who does a lot of discussions on theology because he's a god, and he talks to his high priest, who we find out knew him from his previous life before he was a god. He doesn't understand the purpose of himself. He doesn't understand why the gods exist and the like whole kind of theatre and performance that he has to do every day. And so he's also questioning his role as a god, and also just like within the system and institution. It's just fascinating. I really love the way Brandon Sanderson is constructing these characters, the way that he's incorporating all this variety of themes, and he's bringing it all in together. There's a really great balance between like action and these sorts of discussions, but also just we're seeing these characters deal with trying to stop a war, you know, trying to figure out the secrets and the conspiracies that are happening behind the scenes, trying to understand why the institution is the way that it is, especially Ciri and the God King's relationship. Ciri's like, why are you being treated this way? This is not correct. So it's been so fun to read, and yesterday I read like 200 pages straight because I couldn't stop. And I'm so happy that I started with Warbreaker as like an introduction to the Cosmere universe, because this is so easy to read. It is not incredibly dense. It is very like fast paced in a way that like things are always moving, things are always happening, and each of the characters are so different and so interesting to be in their minds. So you constantly want to read, and I really love it. The chapters are very long, but I don't care. It's just such a good time, and I'm so happy that I started here. There might also be like elements of a romance. I don't really know, but even that, like the possibility of that just makes it feel a bit less daunting. Like, I don't know. I feel like this is a very like non-intimidating Brandon Sanderson fantasy. So I highly recommend it as of right now. But who knows, maybe at the end of this book I'm like sobbing in the corner and I'll tell you like, don't read this book ever. We don't know yet. So I'm very excited to continue reading. I have to commute to the city and do other commuting on train tomorrow, so I'm hoping to get a lot of reading done. But yeah, I will keep you updated, and I'm sorry that it took me this long to update you because I'm over halfway. I better get cracking. Hi everyone. Okay, so real talk. I finished Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson like 2 weeks ago, but I forgot that I never actually filmed my concluding thoughts / outro. For some reason I thought I did, and as I'm editing this video I realized that I actually never did. So let's just quickly conclude this video. Yeah, so this was such a surprise and honestly so fun. So everything that I said in the previous clip, I stand by. I low-key predicted about Denth. I knew he was a cunt, okay? I knew it, but I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. It's not like a new favorite, but I think it's such a perfect taste tester for Brandon Sanderson and like entering into the Cosmere. I really liked it. Everything that I said about the characters, again, I still stand by. Not gonna lie, what's her, oh my god, I forgot her name. Vivenna? Vivenna was interesting in the sense that her character, it goes through periods of like, I cannot stand you, to like, wow, I see development. She was a very interesting character to read. she got confronted a few times by her like hypocrisy and her own like prejudice, which was quite good. Yeah, she kind of annoyed me in parts, but I think that meant that I was engaging with her really well. I still love Ciri. Ciri's my favorite character. So is the God King Susbron. I never know how to say his name. I loved them too. I loved them so much. I wish we got... I almost wish we had mostly their perspective. It felt like Vivenna took control of the narrative. I really wish I could see more of Ciri. She was so fascinating, just badass, pure badass. I loved her so much, and I wanted more of Susbron's story. What you don't get in this is like a heck of a lot of world building, but you do get enough that you're like transported into this universe, but still slightly confused about the magic system. But I think honestly, maybe that's the point, because there, as I said, there's like so many discussions pertaining to like the theology and all these people, not all these people, but like Lightbringer, is that his name? Because I just read something else that Lightsong, sorry, Lightbringer, isn't that what Lucifer is called? Anyway, Lightsong, it was, I sobbed at the end of this. You know why if you've read it. But even like you have these gods that are questioning their own purpose. So it was really interesting and I really liked it. And I cannot wait to get into the rest of this universe. I'm planning, hopefully, on starting the Mistborn trilogy. I don't know if I'll start it this year because I kind of want to focus on the Wheel of Time. I'm just like really in the mood for Robert Jordan and his writing and his characters. So I don't know if Brandon Sanderson is going to be an author that I revisit this year, but he's like on my priority list. I've got the first book of the Mistborn trilogy on my shelf, so I'm very excited. Yeah, I just think that this was such a great introduction to Brandon Sanderson. If you want to get into Brandon Sanderson and you don't know where to start, this was great. And like, you're not starting a trilogy, it's just this book. Maybe Brandon Sanderson has this weird thing of like coming back to a standalone and making it a series. I'm pretty sure he's doing that with Elantris. But yeah, anyway, that was it. And it was really fun. And I had so much fun. It was really just a good time. But I'm kind of annoyed that this vlog was only a 1-book vlog. Like, I love picking out books from my TBR jar, so I'll most likely just like start a new one soon because I have so much fun. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. That is the end of this reading vlog where I read Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like if you want and a little comment. I really appreciate it. I will see you next week. Take care and stay safe, friends.